It's Two on the Aisle with me, Charles Gross, and Leslie Hoban Blake. Tonight, reviews of On Your Feet, Sylvia, Clever Little Eyes, and First Order Suiite. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Two on the Aisle. And good evening, Leslie.
Good evening, Charlie.
Well, we've got a lot to talk about today.
We do. We've got some interesting shows
talk about
tonight.
Broadway's latest jukebox musical. This is On Your Feet, the story of Emilio and Gloria Estefan.
You got it.
Probably the group known for Miami Sound Machine and the song Conga. Now, this is basically, it highlights, it's a biographical, I should say autobiographical musical, kind of like Jersey Boys, but hardly as dramatic. And Gloria and Emilio meet, and they fall in love, and they make beautiful music together, but they're only popular among Latin audiences, and they think they can go mainstream, but their record company doesn't think they can, and Gloria's mother doesn't want her to sing, and it's
You're
really...
making it sound like you're making fun of it, Charlie.
Well, to an extent, but between all that, you have some beautifully staged and well-done numbers that...
Choreographed by Sergio Trujillo and directed by Jerry Mitchell.
Gloria and Emilio made famous.
Yes.
And some very interesting shtick. I don't know if this is actually... Shtick. Yes. Well, at one point, they're singing at a bar mitzvah. And you have this bar mitzvah boy who I assume...
Oh, adorable little kid. Oh, my God.
Yes.
His name is Eduardo Hernandez.
Right, who also plays their son and young Emilio.
Yes, he plays all the little boys in the company.
He plays all the little boys in the show.
And he's really sweet.
Right. And then, all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, which is kind of how it happened in real life, they're on their tour bus and they're in an accident. And suddenly, you have the dramatic weight that the show really...
And this is at the height of their career. They were hot by that point with, gold records and all the rest of it. And then the tragedy strikes. And you say the real life tragedy. Now, they're actively involved in this show. They were actively involved in every aspect.
And they're still together.
And they're still together, including, and evidently, and he really was her first boyfriend. And, which is unheard of in this day and age. The only other couple who's like that is, who's the Canadian... Who's the one who's... Oh, never mind. She's in Las Vegas now. She sings in Celine Dion. Right. They're supposed to be the same kind of situation. Right. But I don't believe it with them.
Okay, well, you have Anna Villafañe as Gloria. She can sing. She can move. I wasn't sure.
She looks like a young Gloria Estefan.
Yes.
They said when she walked in the room, that was it. They just sort of all went, we don't believe she's real, and,
Right. And... I was going to say, and at the end of the first act, I was saying, well, I think she can act. Because the characters are very sketchy. They're not really fleshed out. Even the
Well, you've got the great Alma Cuervo playing.
She's the grandmother, and she's fantastic. And in fact, at the curtains, don't leave when they do the curtain because they do another version of Conga. Conga is very well represented in this show. I'm happy to say, and she does her own version of it, and she's fabulous. And you have Josh Segarra.
Now, Josh Segarra. I got a crush on Josh, and I'm a dirty old lady for saying this because he's probably like 28 years old or something. But he was in Lysistrata Jones. He was the lead guy in Lysistrata Jones, and I thought he was hot then in his little basketball shorts and whatnot. And here he comes out, and he is the sexiest. Well, he is. I'm sorry.
I'll take your word for it.
You may not believe that. And he has this accent that's just short of. Totally totally.
Well, you know who he reminded me of a lot? Desi Arnaz.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
Well, because Desi Arnaz also got a lot of laughs at the expense of his accent.
But he doesn't.
And he pushes the act. He was the producer, just as Desi Arnaz was so innovative and pushed "I Love Lucy" on the air.
And I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. It's a different kind of accent, though.
Yes. He's not doing. He doesn't sound like Desi Arnaz. He doesn't look like Desi Arnaz.
And I think his accent is, but it's almost unintelligible.
Claudia, you have some explaining to do.
No, he doesn't. But it's just to the point of unintelligible, and then but there's such a warmth between them.
Yes.
And there's so much kissing and hugging. It was really great.
Well, we have some scenes.
Yeah, let's watch
take a look at On Your Feet.
Rhythm is gonna get you. any longer. Feel the rhythm of the music getting stronger. Don't you fight it to each other, do that conga beat. Everybody gather round now. Let your body feel the heat. If I could reach higher, just for one moment touch the sky. From that one moment in my life, I'm gonna be stronger. Know that I've tried my very best. I put my spirit to the test. Get on your feet. Get up and make it happen. Get on your feet.
There's an enormous cast of extremely talented actors and dancers. The most, other than In the Heights, the largest Hispanic and Latino cast that's ever been cast, I believe.
Well, maybe Hamilton.
Well, but Hamilton is mixed.
Right.
It's not all, you know, it's not just one kind of another. But just beautifully delineated.
You also have Alexandria, let's see, I think it's Suarez as young Gloria, also
Yes, and you had
wonderful,
Andrea Burns, who was
as
in
the
the Heights, you know, so.
who kind of doesn't get much of a role there. She's got to be, you shouldn't be singing, I don't want you
She
to sing, we're
gets
not going
two
to talk
giant
to each
numbers
other.
to sing from when she's a young woman.
That's true.
She does two numbers, one in Cuba
true.
and one, my God, does she get to
Yes,
show
all right.
off.
I-
It's very evenly spaced as far as giving Gloria stuff to do and giving her mother stuff to do. Surprisingly, I wasn't
we see a little
expecting
more of
that.
Gloria.
You do, but it's a lot of the mother. I wouldn't have expected that much.
Really, the music is what makes this show.
It does.
And I will tell you, I'm not a big Gloria Estefan fan, and this show has not made me a Gloria Estefan. All right, maybe a little. Maybe a
Who did you go to this one with?
I think it took my daughter, and I think she enjoyed
Sarah
it.
liked it, I
Yeah,
bet. I bet
yes.
she did. Okay. All right.
You know, but I had a good time
Yeah.
with this show.
It's another good time
It is
movie.
nicely
Yeah,
done. It
good
does
time
not
play.
have the strength of a Jersey Boys. Very few jukebox musicals do.
I gotta say one thing about
Yeah.
the sets. I was disappointed in something. When the sets are being on, the sets are a series
We have
of
to move on.
shutters and things are projected on them. And when they're flat and being projected on, they're wonderful. And when they turn slightly to the side, they just look like flats as opposed to, so that gives it a chintzy feel. It looks so great when they're being projected. And I don't understand, I mean, considering that the designer is, help me out here, I can't see what that, David Rockwell, you would expect something, you know, something slightly more, and I was very, somebody wasn't looking when that was going on. I don't quite know why, but okay,
Well, what's
that's
your
it.
conclusion?
Oh, well, you can't not like this. 4.
I'm going to give it 3.5. But I think if you are a fan of Gloria Estefan, you probably would give it 4 or even 4.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's such a, you sort of know what's going to happen because you come in knowing the story.
Okay, we have to move on.
Okay, we're moving
Sylvia.
on. We're moving on to Sylvia, which I never saw the first time.
Oh, I did. Okay.
So the first time it starred Sarah Jessica Parker as the dog.
Yes.
And this time it stars her husband as the man. And it's the story of a man and his dog. So there you are.
Lassie.
It's a, yeah, right, that's a boy and his dog. It's a story of a guy who finds a dog in the park, or the dog finds him, whichever way you want to look at it. The dog is played by a female actress, and in this case, the actress is the incredible Annalee Ashford, whom I
Won a
got to
Tony.
meet yesterday. I have a photograph of myself with her.
She won a Tony last year.
She did.
For,
She's on a roll.
Yes.
And everybody walked up to her and said, hey, 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 because
'Cause that's how
the
the
way the
dog
dog
barks.
talks, right? So everyone who was talking there was talking that way to her. But
She won the Tony for You Can't Take It With You.
yes, she did. Oh,
Last season.
I didn't know you were. I could have said that. Okay. Anyway, so the point and the wife is played by Julie White, and everybody else is played by Robert Sella.
Yes.
And Robert Sella steals the show, and how he can do that against a cast like that is quite
Yes, he's the
astounding.
only one who hasn't won a Tony.
But he's been nominated.
Yes.
He won a
Maybe
Drama
he'll be
Desk
nominated
Award.
for this.
He won a Drama Desk Award, and he has been nominated in the past. So if we take a look at it real quick, we can come right back.
All right, let's take a look at Sylvia.
Now sit, Sylvia, sit.
I'm not ready to sit.
I said sit.
I'm too nervous to sit.
Down, Sylvia.
I'm worried about where I sleep. Do I sleep on this couch?
No, down, Sylvia. No, Sylvia. Here, down now. You sit. Sit here. Sit down. Sit, Sylvia. Sit.
Ouch!
Well, then sit.
I'm sitting.
Good girl. Good girl. Now stay.
I'm staying.
Oh, good girl. Very good girl.
You don't have to hit, you know.
Well, it didn't
You
hurt.
most certainly did.
Well, then I'm sorry.
You ought to be.
I just want you to be on your best behavior. Kate gets home any minute.
Who's Kate?
My wife, okay?
Okay, but you don't have to hit.
Well, then I won't, ever again. I promise.
Okay.
Now, it depends on how you look at it. The Times was really mean to this play. It's a little piece of fluff. I can't imagine people being mean to it. But maybe our esteemed Times critic had not had a good sleep.
Or maybe he saw the original version.
No, he said he was a cat person. He couldn't understand liking dogs this much. I don't know whether he saw the original version or not. But
I did.
But he said that it was because he couldn't understand why people were laughing, and he didn't think it was a comedy, and he thought it was a story of a man's breakdown and a middle-age crisis, and he found it.
I think he missed the point.
So I think he he was in a bad mood, I'm sure.
Well, Anna Lee Ashford, I enjoyed her as Sylvia.
She's sweet.
Yeah, she was sweet. She plays Sylvia like a teenage girl. I mean, she's the teenage daughter. She is, full of attitude. She'll get away with whatever she can. She's at odds with Julie White as the
whole
wife.
time.
It is quite clear that it is a showdown between the two of them.
But Julie White, to me, is wasted in this, unfortunately. Julie White is one of our finest actresses, and it's not a show that shows her off very well. Bob Sella, on the other hand, comes in and plays a guy and a girl, and then you don't know quite what. He's got
somewhere in between.
Somewhere in between.
Yes.
And each one is better than the first, and everybody just goes crazy over him.
He is
This is a walking Tony. There he is. He's going to be a Tony nominee and maybe a winner this time. I hope so too.
I like Matthew Broderick. He's kind of still in Leo.
Matthew Broderick hasn't stopped doing Leo Bloom.
No.
And it was, I hated it in Nice Work.
The schlubby.
I hated it in Nice Work, and I hate it even more here. He has this, and he just does it, and I'm so tired. I'm so over you, Matthew Broderick. Stop it. Just stop it. Anyway, he was the weak link for me. Absolutely. She's wasted.
He's a man. He's sick. He's tired of his job. I guess he's having a midlife crisis. And by the way, men, I think if you watch this play, the one thing you should take away from it, if you are having a midlife crisis, buy a car. Okay. No women, no dogs, car.
Okay.
Look, it's worked very nicely for Jay Leno.
What are we going to give it?
Well, I'm going to give this 3.5. I think, I enjoyed the play. I had a good time. But given the play's pedigree, I was expecting more.
Oh, well, given that joke, I'm going to give it a 3. Good joke, though. I like the joke. Good place for it.
All right. Well, what if the That Girl series starring Marlo Thomas was still running? And what if Edward Albee were to write an episode? Well, the result would probably be something along the lines of Clever Little Lies. Well, it takes place in Manhattan and somewhere in Westchester.
Yeah.
There is liquor, and there is Marlo Thomas, so this is really That Girl territory over there. Here's the situation. Father and son are playing tennis. Son has just had his first child with his very nice wife. We meet her. He's having an affair with a gym instructor,
personal trainer,
who is described as gorgeous, but we never get to meet her. All of a sudden, the scene takes place at his parents' house, and it kind of slips out. So Marlo Thomas, who is the mother, makes up this story about an affair that she had years ago. But, or at least we think she made it up. We're not so sure.
You're telling more of this than it deserves to have told,
right.
to be honest with you.
And
therein lies the tale. Yes,
the
you know.
We have some scenes, so let's take a look at Clever Little Lies.
I already warned you, Billy. No phones, no.
Ma!
I'll return it when you leave.
That's my iPhone,
And
Ma!
I'm your mother.
Give his phone
Here,
to him.
I'll put it
No, take any unfair disrespect. Come on!
What's all the fuss? I'm keeping
Ma,
it.
no!
Billy,
For God's
who could
sake,
be
Alice,
call-
give him the damn
that's-
phone, come
could
on.
be calling that's so important?
Ma!
It says unknown. Now, how important can unknown
I need the
be?
phone right now, Ma!
Hello, this is Billy's mother.
Ma, no!
He can't take any work calls now. This is family time. It's family time.
For God's sake, Alice, here, turn it off. Turn it off!
All right, all
Turn
right,
it off
all
now.
right, it's off, it's off. Look, it's off. My iPhone is off. That's my BlackBerry.
Oh, for God's sake.
Put it away
This is
now.
why there's...
Okay.
I gotta tell you, here's what was wrong with this play. It was so slight that I kept wondering why Marlo Thomas let some doctor do that to her face. She's had plastic surgery and it went wrong. So I don't know how old she is, but she's too old for the part. She's, poor Greg Malaby, whom I loved, Mulaney rather,
As
whom
the
I
father.
loved, on Mary Hartman, and who was very dishy on Mary Hartman, looks old enough to be her grandfather. I mean,
Marlo Thomas?
well, maybe the grandfather of the boy. This is a play that is miscast. It's by Joe DiPietro, who also...
No, I have to disagree with you.
I'm being very candid here. I shouldn't...
Okay, no, you should be the second Mrs. Wilson. Nice, nice work if you could get it. Speaking of Matthew Broderick.
Yes, I know, but nice work if you can get it. Yes, and the second Mrs. Wilson, I can't wait to go see. It's out at the George Street Playhouse now, starring John Glover. That I want to see. That's
Street,
about
the one in New Brunswick.
Yes, it's about
Rutgers.
Woodrow Wilson and his wife Edith Galt.
But let's talk about this play.
Well, but I don't want to. I don't really want to.
You know, you have to play with the cards you're dealt. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
thank you.
Good grief. I like Marlo Thomas in this. I thought her sitcoms, experience
Her sitcom skills.
came in very much in handy here
Okay.
during her whole monologue about the affair.
Okay.
I was enjoying every minute of it. This role could have been played by younger performers, the parents, but I don't think necessarily it had to be. It is very possible to be a grandparent when you become a grandparent when you're older. So I think they are the right age for the role. As the son, George Merrick was all right. I liked the wife, Kate Weatherhead. Why he wants to leave her for another woman. I
Well,
couldn't quite
you see,
figure
that's
out.
always. Then you don't cast somebody who's likable and cute. Then it makes no sense,
Well, they had to love her in the first.
Well,
marry her in the first.
yeah.
Well, but again, I think the gist of it here is that the son is being irresponsible, and the parents are.
I liked your saying Edward Albee because they're not nice people. If they were nice people, they wouldn't try to solve the problem. Marlo Thomas's first thing is to say, "Well, I did it too." Instead of
this is a desperate because she blurted it out, and she doesn't. They don't want to tell their daughter-in-law. So this was the first thing she could think of.
But you see, I'm
That's the
just thinking
premise.
that there's no goat involved. But other than that, I do think that it does have a kind of a heavy hand to it, and I didn't like the play. I was very unhappy with the. I mean, there was nothing wrong with the acting, but there was nothing particularly right with the acting. I didn't have a good time. I was very happy that it was short, I'm really sorry. I wanted to like it. I didn't go in not wanting to like it, but...
I on the other hand, went in, had a very lovely time, enjoyed the plot, enjoyed the performances. This is a very sitcom-y situation, but it does end on a slightly more dramatic note, and if it would have been, I think it would have been interesting to see how the relationship between the two grandparents, between Thomas and Levy's characters, continued after that evening.
You didn't see The Humans, which has the same exact ending. And The Humans is a comedy, Stephen Karam's comedy about the Blake family Thanksgiving, which I thought was very funny. Had a long conversation with him about that. But it's the same kind of ending where somebody goes up a stairway and the man is standing there looking, lost. And I thought, isn't that interesting that both plays ended? And Joe Mantello directed that one. So I don't know. If we come
I had a good time. How many playbills will you give it?
Oh, I have to start, huh?
You do?
2? Did we give 2 something else tonight? I want to give
no,
it 2.
Not tonight.
Not tonight. Another time. I want to give it 2.
Have.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to give it 3.5.
Oh, you're good.
I had a good time.
You're kind.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Our final show for the evening.
Very interesting. Not sure if it really works. Maybe flawed, but fascinating thing and really monumental try on something called the First Daughter Suite, and it's by Michael John LaChiusa, the playwright composer, who also did the First Lady Suite. Right. There's something he has about women in the White House. I don't know what.
And the First Ladies are present here, although the
different First Ladies, not the same ones that
the presidents are not.
Yes, but the presidents weren't where they were in the First Lady Suite. There were presidents. You're right, but. There's something that he has about women in the White House. I'm not quite sure what it is. And in this case, it starts out, it's Pat Nixon and the 2 daughters on the daughter's wedding day, the second daughter's, Trisha's wedding day.
Actually, I think Trisha was the older one. The younger one got married first.
Yes, she met the younger one. The younger one married David Eisenhower, and they both had White House weddings, so they got 2 of them. This is a very lovely Pat Nixon. I've always had a very strange feeling about Pat Nixon. I always thought she was kind of cold. Here she's very warm. She does drink in this, but not necessarily too much. And there's a ghostly figure of her mother-in-law who is a Mormon and is very, very against Pat and the drinking and everything that's going on. And it's just at the time of Watergate. And that's all you need to know, although they drop more and more hints about what's going on and blah, blah, blah. It's background material to the little domestic drama that's going on about the wedding and all this background stuff. And that's number 1 act, right. And there are 4 acts to this evening.
The second, I wasn't very impressed with the first one. I have to say I was not very impressed with this play at all. I felt that there are 4 vignettes. I thought all of them were too long, not particularly interesting, and very rarely, only in the second one, which I'll get to momentarily, did you get any idea of what it's like to be a first daughter. Most of this could be happening. This could be another
that was a sitcom.
This could be Marlo Thomas's family.
I totally agree.
And that's the problem,
okay.
Except for the second act, and the second vignette, and that's Amy Carter and Susan Ford, along with Betty and Rosalind, on the presidential yacht. Amy is having a dream.
A nightmare. It's a dream nightmare. It's a dream / nightmare.
It has to be because Jimmy Carter actually sold the presidential yacht. And Amy is sailing with Susan, and each of them are jealous of the other's mother. Amy wishes her mother would let loose like Betty Ford. Susan, who I think was the one who intervened in Betty Ford's life, wished that her mother would be a proper woman like Rosalind. And then Amy gets this idea she's going to sail the yacht to Iran and rescue the American hostages at the embassy so that her father will be reelected.
Which, of course, was her father's downfall, was the whole Iran hostage series.
You know,
well, but that was the nail in the coffin, so to speak.
20% inflation didn't help, but...
Okay, all right. And all the peanuts. It was and the other thing was the peanuts.
That's for another time.
I just have to say, Betty Ford here is played by the wonderful Allison Fraser. Wonderful, wonderful.
Oh, yes.
Last time I saw her just recently was in a Charles Busch thing that we saw about the nuns. She played one of the sisters in that.
Right. Well, I remember her from the Falsetto series.
Yes, well, but you should remember Barbara Walsh from that series, too, who played Pat Nixon in the first one. She was also in the Falsettos, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. Okay, so when you like that one best of all 4 of them, because the next one is called Patty by the Pool.
Yes.
And it's Nancy Reagan, again played by Allison Fraser.
Yes.
And 2 of these people double back, several of the actors double back and play different roles.
Trying to reconcile with her daughter, Patty Davis. Oh, mommy dearest, or daughter dearest.
So Julie Nixon in the first comes back and plays Patty. So she goes from being sweet little Julie to being, this tough-talking, tattooed Patty.
Yawn.
Yes, well, and then the last one was, it went wrong, but I thought it was so interesting.
That is exactly my feeling.
It was about Betty...
Barbara Bush.
Barbara Bush, about whom we know almost nothing.
Is talking with her daughter.
Her dead daughter.
Well, Dawn, I think it was Dawn Bush, died at age 3. And here the playwright gives... He gives an insight into the Bush family.
Tries to give. We don't know if it's true or not.
Well, that was what I was about to say. It's his opinion. And the thing I get out of this is, yes, Mary Testa can do a dramatic role.
Oh, Mary Testa can do anything.
And in the meantime, Barbara is having her yearly meeting with Dawn's ghost, and
Anniversary meeting.
that would be enough, except that her daughter-in-law is
Laura comes in. Laura's very
because
sweet.
she's got to. They need her on the campaign trail to reelect her son, and I get the impression that the playwright is trying to put his politics. I don't get the impression the playwright is very fond of George Bush Jr.
Well, no, but what happens is Laura comes in and asks her mother to forgive George and help him. And Barbara says, I can't and I won't. And boy, you know, I'm sort of like, I don't know anything about this part of them. I've never read a book about them. I never wanted to. But I really am curious now to find out what, you know, what that whole situation is.
I suspect this is more of a made up.
No, because the new book that just came out about George, the first George.
41.
George, 41, thank you. It's talking about the fact that 41 doesn't like anything about what George did and his politics.
He criticized the way he apparently let Dick Cheney on. That's a very, very different. That came to mind to me too, but that's very different from here. Barbara Bush is basically saying her son is a total failure.
Well, you don't get the feeling that she's happy with him, no.
No. All right. So Bush, 41, criticized one aspect of 40.
Well, I'm sorry, Dick Cheney was the president.
No, he was not.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, he was.
Well,
everything that he believed is what happened in this country. Yes,
on another,
yes, we could.
This was the most potent sketch of the four of them, but as you say, it went wrong. As did this whole play. This is First Order Suite. Don't check in. I am giving this 2 playbills.
You gave it what?
2 playbills.
2. I brought an opera-loving friend with me because I couldn't think of anybody else who'd want to go to see it. Okay,
Yes.
and she loved the singing. We thought that the talent was extremely well cast. I have to say that when I give it a 2.5.
Okay.
And Mary Testa did Lacusa's Maid in the Mist or Lady in the Mist, whatever that was, about the woman who went over the falls in a barrel, something in the mist, and that was a fantastic, intriguing kind of thing. He's a very interesting composer who's never had a big show because he has a kind of a weird take on things. You know? Oh, stop!
All right. Hey, look, you didn't like it all that much better. So.
I think I did like it. I gave it a low.
You gave it 2.5?
I gave it 2.5 because in every case, there were things that didn't go right. That's what I said. I said in the beginning it was fascinating, but it didn't go right.
The subject is fascinating.
Yeah.
The play, the execution is not. And that is our show for the evening. When you go to the theater, look for Leslie and me, us too.
On the aisle.